أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والله جعل لكم من بيوتكم سكنا بيوتا تستخفونها يوم ظعنكم ويوم إقامتكم ومن أصوافها. والله جعل لكم مما خلق ظلالا وجعلكم لعلكم تسلمون. فإن تولوا فإنما عليك البلاغ المبين. يعرفون نعمة الله لأمة شهيدا ثم لا يؤذن للذين كفروا فلا يخفف عنهم ولا هم ينظرون. وإذا رأى الذين أشركوا شركاءهم قالوا ربنا هؤلاء شركاؤنا الذين كنا ندعو من دونك فألقوا إليهم القول إنكم لكاذبون. وألقوا إلى الله يومئذ السلم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون. الذين كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله زدناهم عذابا فوق العذاب بما كانوا يفسدون. وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. صدق الله العظيم.
الدكتورة رحمة بنت إبراهيم المحروقية نائبة الرئيس للدراسات العليا والبحث العلمي المشاري والمعرفة نرحب بكم في حفل افتتاح مؤتمر الهيمنة الحضرية والنسيج العمراني على طاولة النقاش والحوار سعيا لتبادل المعارف والخبرات. موضوع الهيمنة الحضرية وأثرها على النسيج العمراني التقليدي في صمانة عصر جهدهم ومحصلة بحوثهم في 4 محاور متنوعة هي: المحور الأول واقع الهيمنة الحضرية، المحور الثاني تأثيرات الهيمنة الحضرية، المحور الثالث سبل الحفاظ على النسيج العمراني التقليدي، المحور الرابع القوانين والتشريعات المنظمة للتخطيط الحضري. نبدأ حفل الافتتاح بكلمة رئيس اللجنة المنظمة للمؤتمر مدير مركز الدراسات العمانية الدكتور أحمد بن حمد الرفعاني، فليتفضل لإلقاء كلمته مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، سعادة الدكتور عصام بن علي رواس نائب رئيس الهيئة العامة للصناعات الحرفية، الدكتورة رحمة بنت إبراهيم المحروقية نائبة الرئيس للدراسات العليا والبحث العلمي، الأساتذة المشاركين، الحضور الكريم في سلطنة عمان والذي يأتي بتنظيم من مركز الدراسات العمانية بجامعة السلطان قابوس وبمشاركة واسعة من الباحثين والمهتمين من داخل السلطنة وخارجها. على النسيج العمراني التقليدي العماني، إذ شهدت السلطنة إذ شهدت المدن العمانية طفرة تنموية خلال العقود الأربعة الماضية، أدت إلى شيوع طابع التحضر، مما يستدعي دراسة تأثيره على الطابع العمراني والهوية المعمارية، وتسليط الضوء على القوانين والسياسات المنظمة للتمدد الحضري، ودراسة تأثير الهيمنة الحضرية على النواحي الثقافية والاجتماعية، بغية استشراف مستقبل النسيج العمراني التقليدي العماني لتحقيق تنمية مستدامة في المدن العمانية. كما لا يفوتنا في هذا المحفل العلمي أن نستفيد من تجارب الدول الصديقة والشقيقة التي تشاركنا بعرض تجاربها في مجال الهيمنة الحضرية، وذلك من خلال من أجل تبادل الخبرات وإثراء النقاشات العلمية للخروج بتوصيات هادفة محاور أساسية موزعة على 5 جلسات على مدار يومين. كما ابتدينا أن نعزز القيمة العلمية لهذا المؤتمر بمعرض فني مصاحب بمشاركة وزارة التراث والثقافة وكليتي الهندسة والتربية بجامعة السلطان قابوس، وبمشاركة عدد من الفنانين التشكيليين العمانيين. لقد سعدنا بالمشاركة الواسعة التي حظي بها موضوع الهيمنة الحضرية، مما يؤكد وجود حاجة ملحة للتعامل مع تأثيراتها المختلفة، وهذا ما نأمل تحقيقه في ختام هذا المؤتمر، متمنين لجميع الباحثين طرحا علميا سديدا ونقاشا علميا ثريا. وباسم مركز الدراسات العمانية نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل للجان المنظمة وإدارة جامعة السلطان المصاحب، كما نقدر جهود أبناء الطلبة والطالبات من جماعة الجغرافيا وجماعة وقسم الفنون التشكيلية، راجين للجميع التوفيق والسداد. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وهو باحث رئيس بالمركز الوطني للبحوث العلمية بالشرق الأوسط والقرن الإفريقي، وهو كذلك باحث مشارك في مركز الدراسات والوثائق الاقتصادية والقانونية والاجتماعية بالقاهرة والخرطوم. بداية نرجوها لكم.
Mr. President, Mr. Director, dear colleagues, dear friends, it's a big الكلام باللغة الإنجليزية اللي هو هي لغة دولية مشتركة بيننا كلنا. ف that I will respond to questions, commentaries later on. We can exchange in any language that you would like, except French, of course. So I would say that the theme of this conference has impressed me because it's a really very important subject, this matter of urban primacy and the role of the النسيج التقليدي, the traditional fabric or core of the city. This is a matter that concerns Oman, but not only Oman. I think what we can observe now at the world level is that urban primacy is gaining ground everywhere. I mean, big cities, metropolises, it's not like when the idea, the concept of urban primacy was invented back 50 years ago or more. It was meaning that the capital city or the biggest city because capital city offers infrastructure, services, and also a way of life that people, especially young people, are looking for everywhere. So it can have their own country, their own countryside, or provinces. So this is a tool to grow. It is helped by new technologies, of course, rapid transportation, networks, like the world culture, world also music or whatever you think of are globalized. So it might seem that the future is with big cities, private cities, these urban private traffic jams, that is urban expansion, a lot of input of wealth and needs of the small cities of the rest of the country, everywhere. If I look at France, Paris is like a monster that swallows all the energies from the country. And if you go visiting the larger population, there is a feeling of freedom, of individual liberty, of possibility of finding good jobs, getting a better education, and so on and so forth. So the side effects are, as I said, that the big city swallows the budget of the country in order to build things that are not so useful sometimes. Big autostrades, big buildings, a lot of equipment that could be dispatched around the country. Now the side effect is also the pollution. It's also the traffic jams. As I noticed this morning when I tried to come to the university, you all know this. And 20 years ago it was just south of Paris. It's in the same situation. That is in the morning and in the evening I cannot go out of the house or out of the village because they want privacy. Is there any solution? That is the question that everybody, where nobody knows nobody, and there is a kind of anonymity in the big cities that is also contrary to social life, to the life that we know and we like, being with family, friends, in the same village, in the same city where you know each other, you can trust each other. The big metropolises, be it in America or Europe, are now places that are in danger somehow. So, what can be the solution? There we come to the urban fabric and the role that we can imagine for the traditional urban fabric. The traditional urban fabric now is restricted to a tiny core of the city. If we are here, we are far from the to play a role in the development of the larger city that we are in. But in fact, the core city center that we are going to study throughout this feel at home somehow, can feel well, can walk in the streets, can buy in the shops, can talk to each other. And this is not replaced by these big new developments. So how to improve or to foster this role of the old city center, this traditional urban fabric? This traditional urban fabric has even negative effects of these urban developments. In many places in the world are now trying to expand the car. These cities now are made for the cars first. In the past it was the contrary. And you can't accommodate the circulation in a place like Muscat or other places of Muscat. It's very difficult. And of course, in fact, cars are pushed out, being taken, when we consider how the water is spoiled in dry countries, and not only in dry countries, even in France. I mean, there's a problem with the spoiling of water and the high consumption of water that is getting more and more expensive and more damaging for the environment, the polluted water. The same goes for energy. People in the past had no electricity. The traditional from all over the world,
because there is no cent, proper cent in Dubai anymore, nor in the surroundings. They bought from anybody. It's not the problem. I mean, it can be, you can pay and buy and get what you need. But in terms of thinking of the future of mankind, the future generation, how far can we go this way? And when you look back to the plaster, to the wood, to the straw that people were using in the past, it was much more comfortable in terms of cooling the house. The same goes for the barahil or whatever. I mean, these are systems that you can think of or develop from the roots of the traditional culture. And there we are with the urban fabric, and the lessons we can get from this is more and more that try to develop this new thinking about the urban growth. Not one center, but several polycentrical systems with a local center, so to say, that make the people feel at home somehow in the larger city. We have in Europe different systems of primacy. If you look at France, world, not only for the Britain, the same for Paris in terms, so to say, of culture. It's not the only one, but it's one of our major assets. So these major cities, which are between 15 and 20 million inhabitants, they try to attract the youth not only from the countryside, but from the whole world. Attract this youth, you have to propose them not stress, pollution, car jams. You have to think of quality of life. There is a thought by the municipalities that once you try to reduce the bad effects of urban primacy and you try to raise up good effects, that is open cafe, restaurants, cinemas, where the youth can gather, know each other, entertain, and to check the circulation, the private transportation, the cars from inside the cities. And it makes people angry. It's not popular for those who have a car and need a car. But definitely this is a policy that is taken by all cities because they are in this competition to attract more and more of the positive energies of the world as a whole. So in Germany, they have a different system somehow because there is not one capital city. There is no one primate city. It's a power of attraction. So there might be a competition between these cities inside Germany, but the result is the same, that each one wants to open new ways, new thinking, and among these people who come, they develop these new technologies, not only smart technologies and what you can think of in terms of communication, but from the old technologies make and discover new technologies. With the old material, make new materials, new ways of life, which resemble to the old ways of life. This is for Europe, Western Europe, so to say. It's a matter, you can find also this trend in America, maybe in Japan, maybe in some countries that are more conscious because they are more advanced in terms of history than others and they have more problems. But in the Arab world now, we can see the situation of urban primacy and the reliance on the traditional urban fabric is more or less developed according to the countries. Let's say the Maghreb, go to Marrakesh, you will see that now it's a fashion, a trend to restore, rehabilitate the riad, what they call the riad, which is the old house with a Iwan in the middle, as far as I know, but some of the participants will develop certainly these points better than me. There is in France, in Algeria, or in the Maghreb in general. They know France better than we do, and the French army. It's a really very popular quarter, very old, and somehow destitute. And the government doesn't push so much to restore it, but the civil society plays a role in those countries, with people who are aware of the interest and the beauty of these old city centers. So goes. Tunisia, they need the tourists. This is the major resource of Tunisia. So they have developed also the old city centers to present and to sell Egypt, which is the oldest nation. Somehow, you don't have that kind of trend yet. The wealthy Egyptians, they prefer to build new residences outside Cairo. And Cairo, Wust al-Balad, is in crumble. It's only the Aga Khan who reshaped the very old Darb al-Ahmar. Inhabitants have been expelled. So it's just a decor, like a movie decor. So somehow it's okay for the tourists that visit Egypt. But for the local people, it's not an example to be used for the rest of Cairo or the rest of Egypt. And the same for Alexandria. Now, Lebanon, so to finish with the Arab Middle East and shorten my presentation, in Lebanon you had Beirut was really a core for the whole Arab world, tried to rebuild from scratch in the city center, a new old city center. But it doesn't work, since the population is not involved. It was the cradle of the mix of Lebanese population. Any religion, any group, any origins were meeting there in the market, in the old souk and Sahat al-Shuhada and that kind of other cities. But it's mainly, so to say, artificial. They are not yet in that thinking of reducing the damages caused by not only the war, but the building everywhere in the country, from the coast to up the mountains. Now, what about the Arabic Peninsula? I have presentations on old Jeddah, so that will be very interesting, because there was a tentative to save old Jeddah, close to the souk, with the traditional Musharabiyeh and small, no, Riyadh. Now Riyadh is almost twice as big as Jeddah. And it has, of course, not Qasr al-Hukum or that sort of thing, but no real heritage there. The heritage from the people is not in the cities. It's outside the cities. But in the Hijaz, it's different. So the people there try to save, restore the city cores. It doesn't go much further in my opinion, because we are in a country that uses a lot of oil, energy, water, and maybe they will feel, after some time, the difficulties and the limits of that model. But how they were destroying day and night all the city centers in the provinces where I was living. And now when it's destroyed, it's destroyed. We did the same in France, and we might be sorry for that. It's difficult to go back. Now, about the Emirates, it's surprising. In terms of urban primacy, we are not going to talk about Ras Al Khaimah or Fujairah, which are very interesting, because this is the federation, because there is no point about that. Abu Dhabi has the political governance, and Dubai the economic governance, so to say. But now the competition is to gain the attraction of the world, to attract the interest of the world. That is, the public opinion of the West, the government in the West, and so on and so forth, mainly. But also from the whole world, Africa, Asia, everyone looks at them and visits them and works there. So this competition brings them now to develop the cultural aspects. And this is quite interesting. For instance, they want to be registered in the World Heritage for the whole Dubai, for instance. And Abu Dhabi, they don't have the equivalent. They have just museums. Now everyone is traditional life and environment of the people. And this is and even in Qatar with the Islamic Arts Museum, to advance and to make use of the experience, bad or good, of other countries. And I thank you.
شكرا للدكتور مارك لافيرجان نائب رئيسة الهيئة العامة للصناعات الحرفية راعي الحفل لافتتاح المعرض المصاحب في قاعة المعارض، القاعة المجاورة لقاعة المؤتمرات، والذي يستمر لمدة 3 أيام اعتبارا من اليوم. خدمة البث المباشر سوف تستمر على مدار يومين لتغطي جميع جلسات المؤتمر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.